All right, I'll call to order the Petersburg Borough Regular Borough Assembly meeting for Monday, June 20th, 2022. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Jay,
Here.
Thomas,
Here.
Chelsea, Mark,
Mark is excused.
Jeff,
Here.
Bob, David.
Here. Here in chambers tonight, as mentioned, with Mayor Jensen being excused. Let us now rise for the voluntary Pledge of Allegiance. That brings us to the approval of minutes. We have one such item. I'd entertain we could approve the June 6, 2022 meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right on. Keep that one simple. Minutes of June 6 have been approved. Brings us to either amend or approve the meeting agenda as it is. If there's any amendments to tonight's agenda, I'd entertain them right now. Member Tremblay?
I'd like to add an agenda item under new business, that'd be letter D, to appoint Callie Caples to the Early Childhood Education Task Force. That's of Mitkoff Monsters Childcare.
Right on. Member Tremblay has made that motion and to amend, and Member Mucci has seconded it. Clerk, would you just call the roll on that?
Yes, and I just want to make note that normally we do not add action items. But this is just an appointment to a task force, so I would leave it up to you all to decide.
Yep, that's where I was going with it. Member Tremblay asked beforehand, and since there's no nothing monetary involved, there's no policy involved, it's an advisory board, I told her to proceed. So if any member of the assembly has any objection to that, please take the floor and do so. So I said, clerk, please call the roll on the amended agenda.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's see, Jeff,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. In that case, are there any other amendments to this evening's agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Member Mucci and seconded by Member Tremblay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have approved the meeting agenda as amended. Clerk Thompson, if I forget under new business D, please remind me, but I'll try to stay on topic. That brings us to item number 5, public hearings. Excuse me. A, the public hearing for ordinance 2022-08, an ordinance proposing an amendment to section 14.02A, services to be provided only by a service area of the Home Rule Charter of the Petersburg Borough, and directing that the proposed charter amendment be submitted to the qualified voters of the borough. Any public testimony on this should be given right now. So I'll open this public hearing if anyone is here to testify in regards to this. Seeing none, that public hearing is closed, bringing us to public hearing item B, ordinance 2022-09, an ordinance proposing an amendment to section 19.03A, personal financial interest and nepotism of the Home Rule Charter of the Petersburg Borough, and directing that the proposed charter amendment be submitted to the qualified voters of the Petersburg Borough. Anyone here to testify to that public hearing this evening? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, bringing us to public hearing C, ordinance 2022-10, an ordinance proposing an amendment to section 11.13E, purchasing and contracting of the Home Rule Charter of the Petersburg Borough, to allow borough employees and officials to participate in borough property sales when conducted by competitive outcry auction, and directing that the proposed charter amendment be submitted to the qualified voters of the Petersburg Borough. Is anyone here this evening to testify to this public hearing as well? Seeing none, public hearings are closed for the evening. Bring us to item 6, bid awards, which there are none. Item 7, persons to be heard on items related to tonight's agenda. Please step forward, state your name and who you represent. And as always, you get 5 minutes. I'll keep track of the time, and please keep your comments civil and respectful. And whoever would like to proceed, take the floor and we'll get it started. Go for it.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight briefly. My name is Donna Marsh. I represent myself. A few items that I would like to bring up before this assembly. One, I'm disappointed that the work session with the PMC and the assembly was held during regular business hours for many people who were not able to come. I would hope that subsequent meetings are held where more people have access to that rather than after the fact. My second point is the discussion where PMC is still pursuing a new facility. But it is a curious thing to me that you have 3 amendments to bring before the voters that would alter the home rule charter of rather insignificant, potentially rather insignificant consequences when we're looking at something of the lines of $1/5 of $1 billion, upwards of $200 million for a new facility that's not going to go before the voters. I would think it would make a lot of sense to let the voters decide whether or not they want to take this burden on themselves. My third point is PMC taking over the Mountain View Manor management. I think that is a lofty ideal. I think there are some really big shoes being vacated by the outgoing manager. However, I think if you consider the employment situation in Petersburg, the borough itself has a great big banner. We're hiring. The hospital, look in the newspaper, how many want ads with positions open, how many positions at Mountain View Manor are also opened. So I think that the PMC is thinking that they could take this management on in an economic and viable manner, I think is far exceeding reality. And I'll just toss this out. The fire EMS director also is moving on and is going to leave some very big shoes. Does that mean the PMC should take over that as well? I would urge the assembly to continue to search for qualified people, both at the borough level, Mountain View Manor, and PMC, solicit qualified employees and applicants that as well. I think putting Mountain View Manor under the management of the hospital would multiply these problems exponentially. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Marsh. Mr. Mergus, you seem prepared.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm representing myself, John Mergus only. First, concerning the mayor's report, thank you, Vice Mayor Staten Greger, for your warm congratulations to LGBTQ friends in recognition of Pride Month. The frequent welcomes and celebrations of LGBTQ rights I hear from this assembly warms my heart and makes me proud to live in Petersburg. Second, concerning the temporary change of schedule of assembly meetings to accommodate 1 member during gillnet season, I'm concerned about the precedent this would set. I also think it would reduce public participation to assembly meetings. For those of us with short memories, it would cause confusion on the meeting schedules. And let's see, third, thank you and congratulations on the continued progress with Papke's Landing port improvements. Keep in mind, we are all living in a new world of accelerated changes in our economy, demographics, climate, technology, and more. Changes we never dreamt of will likely occur. Learn from past mistakes. Conceptual plans for Petersburg Borough projects have sometimes been too restrictive and too quickly turned into final plans that are proprietary with little opportunity for public participation. Keep reaching out for suggestions, complaints, ideas. Never have a closing date on a comment period. Can you find possibly a corner in your Petersburg Borough website for public comments on the development of Papke's port improvements? Outreach by the public comment, outreach by the borough and communications will be key to a successful project. And lastly, I love suggestion boxes. I'd like to see a suggestion for people who forget, like me, to turn their cell phones off. Maybe a little sign that says, silence your cell phones. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mergus. Anyone else, or is anyone in the queue, Clerk Thompson, who is testifying telephonically tonight?
There is not.
Okay, anyone else in the audience care to speak to any issues related to tonight's agenda? I'll pivot just in case then to persons to be heard unrelated to the agenda. Anyone here care to speak on items unrelated to the agenda? Does not appear so. We have nothing on the boards, commission, and committee reports, which brings us to the consent agenda. The Trees LLC liquor license transfer to the Trees RV LLC. The Trees LLC, Larry Dunham, member, has applied with the Alaska Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office to transfer their package store liquor license to the Trees RV LLC, Brandon Allison, member. The Assembly may support or protest the application, but a protest may not be arbitrary, capricious, or unreasonable. I would entertain a motion to approve this item.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made by Member Mucci and seconded by Member Tremblay. Any discussion on this consent agenda item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Jay,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Chelsea, Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you.
That consent agenda item passes unanimously, which brings us to the report of other officers. Fire EMS Director Dixon, the floor is yours.
So I apologize if it's jumbly because I had lots of thoughts going through my head. Good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor and Borough Assembly members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Sandy Dixon. I'm the Fire EMS Director and Emergency Manager for the Petersburg Borough. Years ago, my daughter bought me a bumper sticker that read, "I used to have a life, but my job ate it." I think she was trying to tell me something. I've allowed my job to define who I am, and I will be retiring on June 30th, 2022, after 21 years of career staff. Excuse me. This is the last assembly meeting I will be attended as the borough employee, so I'd like to take a few moments to share my story and some thoughts with you and the people who may be listening. Throughout my career, I have taught numerous first aid and CPR and EMS courses and have assisted with fire classes. I've responded to many emergencies and helped the community be better prepared and played a role in some community-wide emergencies. I have collaborated with various entities in the community, Southeast, and the state. I will leave this position proud, knowing, or at least hoping, that I've made a difference. The contacts and friends I've made throughout the state while performing my duties is invaluable. I am most grateful for the many volunteers that I have worked beside, training and responding through the years. Not really crying, super nervous. It has been fun. It has been challenging. It has been heartbreaking. It has been rewarding. And for the most part, I've enjoyed it. I'm actually up here to talk about volunteering, and I'll start a little bit with myself. I came to Petersburg in May of 1991 for a 5-month detail with the Forest Service. I often say, and 31 years later, I'm still here. I was told I should bring rain gear and rubber boots because it rains a lot. In California, if it rains, you stay inside. It rained all right. It rained 136 inches that year, and an average temperature was between 50 and 55 degrees. You can imagine the adjustment it required coming from a place in California that maybe received 14 inches of precipitation a year and where temperatures often were in triple digits during the summer. A few months into my detail, I was offered a permanent position with Petersburg Ranger District in the engineering department, and I accepted. With that decision, Petersburg became home. I worked for 10 years, bouncing between the Ranger District and Forest Supervisor's office, depending on what organizational chart they were following. In 1997, I decided I wanted to give back to the community. I had friends in the fire department and they encouraged me to join. In October 1997, while still working with the Forest Service, I started volunteering with the Petersburg Volunteer Fire Department. I was voted in as a member in January 1998. I obtained my firefighter 1 certification and was very active in training and emergency response. I had been an emergency trauma technician with the Forest Service, which I really enjoyed. So I started volunteering with the EMS branch of the fire department in 1999 as an ETT. I then received my EMT 1 certification in 2000 and my EMT 2 certification in 2001. And as a career staff, I became an EMT 3. I was very active in the department, which made me eligible to travel for training. I went to EMS symposiums and fire conferences. I even went to the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. Why do I tell you this? I accomplished these things while being a single parent. The amazing training and certification I received, excuse me, the skills I learned, the confidence I cultivated, no confidence here. The friends I made as a volunteer are all attributed to being a member of the Petersburg Volunteer Fire Department. I want to encourage others to volunteer. What's the definition of a volunteer? Well, I Googled it since most people don't have a book dictionary anymore. There were many definitions. The one I landed on was volunteering is a commitment of time and energy for the benefit of society and community, the environment or individual outside one's immediate family. It is undertaken freely and by choice without concern for financial gain. For now, that may change in the future. I would like to make a plea to businesses and business owners. Encourage your employees to volunteer for the fire department. Allow your volunteers to respond to emergencies without docking their pay or compromise, and allow them to flex their time or whatever you can come up with. Do not penalize them for wanting to do something good for the community. I ask, how can you expect one employer to allow their employee to respond to an emergency at your business or for your family if you are not willing to allow your employees to do the same for them? Have you thought about volunteering yourselves? Assembly, community, make time, it can be done. It's not easy at times, making sacrifices with your family and friends, time away from work, getting uninterrupted night's sleep, and potentially being exposed to many hazards, physical and emotional, attending a lot of hours of training, volunteers putting themselves at harm's way for you, the citizens of Petersburg. Of course, not everyone is cut out for it or capable of doing it, and that's okay. But the least you can do is support the people who do, respect the people who do, recognize the people who do. Some principles of volunteering, and this goes to everyone, all volunteer organizations, not just the fire department, but volunteering benefits the community and the volunteer. Volunteers work unpaid. Volunteering is always a matter of choice. Although sometimes I tell the volunteers, like, this isn't court-ordered volunteerism, so, you signed up. Volunteering is a legitimate way in which citizens can participate in the activities of their community. Volunteering is a vehicle for individuals or groups to address human environment and social needs. Volunteering is an activity performed in not-for-profit sector only. I'd like to draw your attention to the next two. Volunteering is not a substitute for paid work. Volunteers do not replace paid workers, nor constitute a threat to the job security of paid workers. That's important because in the future, they may have to be paid. Volunteering respects the rights, dignity, and cultures of others, and volunteering promotes human rights and equality. So, what are the benefits of volunteering? I won't bore you with all the ones that I had written down, but a few of them are, it provides you with a sense of purpose. You may be able to find a purpose through volunteering and becoming part of something greater than yourself. It provides a sense of community. It can help you feel connected to those you are helping in the community. It helps you meet new friends. It's a great way to meet new people, new friends, as well as strengthen existing connections with friends, family, or coworkers. As a volunteer, you'll typically interact with people from diverse backgrounds, which allow you to learn other perspectives. It increases your social skills by active listening and relationship management. It improves self-esteem. It may boost your self-esteem and self-confidence. When you do something that you feel is worthwhile and valuable for your community, it gives you a sense of accomplishment that may help you feel more fulfilled about life. It teaches you a valuable skill. Training and hands-on experiences can help you learn new skills as well as build upon ones you already have. It gets you out of your comfort zone. You overcome the personal challenges of leaving your comfort zone and doing something new with people you may not know. Those are all valuable things that I benefited from as being a volunteer with the fire department. So again, why am I up here telling you this? Volunteerism is down nationwide. PVFD, Petersburg Volunteer Fire Department, is no exception. Mr. Vice Mayor and Assembly, please take into consideration that what the value of PVFD volunteers have in this community. And when it comes time to that department, that the department can no longer function solely with volunteers and or needs a way to retain the volunteers they currently have, and they come to you with that request to better the situation, please keep an open mind and support the department and the volunteers. You do it for other employees of the borough. Don't forget, volunteers are the backbone of this community. We certainly cannot do it without them. And lastly, I am most grateful for the many volunteers that I've worked beside, training and responding through the years. All of my thanks goes out to the members of the Petersburg Volunteer Fire Department, past and present, and hopefully future. Thank you.
Thank you in so many different ways. I appreciate it so much, Sandy. Just to piggyback on that, I'm glad Director Dixon was encouraging volunteerism. We need many of them. On to the mayor's report. Perfect segue. The appreciation for Sandy Dixon, our outgoing Fire EMS Search and Rescue Director. A sincere and deliberate thank you to Sandy Dixon for 21 years of dedicated service, caring for our residents and visitors during times of emergency. Wish you the best in future endeavors and you'll be missed. And just to be clear, Sandy, any words I share on this right now don't go anywhere near expressing the true gratitude myself and many others in the community have. Words don't do it justice, but know that it's felt that strongly. Thank you. Seeking letters of interest. The Petersburg Borough is accepting letters of interest from citizens who wish to serve the community by filling one of the vacant seats on the following boards, commissions until the October 22nd municipal election. On the Planning Commission, we have 2 vacant seats. Parks and Rec Advisory Board, 1 vacant seat. Please volunteer. Letters of interest should be submitted to Clerk Thompson at the Borough offices located at 12 South Nordic Drive by sending to P.O. Box 329, Petersburg, AK 99833, or by emailing to dthompson@petersburgak.gov. Excuse me. Item 3, celebrating Pride Month. With June being Pride Month, I wanted to take this occasion to clearly say this: I unhesitatingly and wholeheartedly support my lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, and queer friends, their rights, their marriages, their pursuits of happiness, and their breath. And this is also true July through May. Sincerely, Vice Mayor Stanton Greger. All right, back that up. Bear with me as I scroll backwards. All right. There is no manager's report today because Manager Giesbrecht is on a much-deserved vacation. I hope he is not listening to this and is enjoying himself. Unfinished business. Ordinance, item A, ordinance 2022-08, an ordinance proposing an amendment to section 14.02A, services to be provided only by service area of the Home Rule Charter of the Petersburg Borough, and directing that the proposed charter amendment be submitted to qualified voters of the borough. Second reading. If adopted, ordinance 2022-08 will submit the proposed charter amendment to the qualified voters of Petersburg Borough to amend the charter to add language regarding collection of solid waste, where the owner of the property requests and pays for such service, and water, sewer, and electrical services where extension of such utility services being requested and paid for by the owner of the property. This passed unanimously in its first reading. I'd entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been made by Member Mucci and seconded by Member Tremblay. Any discussion in its second reading? For those listening at home, the somewhat dry language around these, all 3 of these ordinances, and Clerk Thompson, as always, correct me if I'm missing, are more or less housekeeping items of things we're already doing to make sure that the charter is consistent. That about right?
Yes.
There we go, just for those listening at home. With that, would the clerk please call the roll?
Chelsea,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Bob, David,
Yes.
Jay? Thank you.
In its second reading, bringing us down to item B of unfinished business, ordinance 2022-09, an ordinance proposing an amendment to section 19.03A, personal financial interest and nepotism of the Home Rule Charter of the Petersburg Borough, and directing that the proposed charter amendment be submitted to the qualified voters of the borough. Second reading. If adopted, 2022-09 will submit a proposed charter amendment to the qualified voters of the Petersburg Borough to amend the charter language from assembly to body to allow the elected body to which the officer belongs to determine if the officer may or may not participate in the official action. This was unanimously approved in its first reading. I would entertain a motion to approve it here in the second.
So move. Second.
Moved by member Lynn and seconded by member Mucci. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
David?
Yes.
Chelsea? Bob? Jay?
Yes.
Jeff? Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that also passes unanimously in its second reading. Bringing us to item C, ordinance 2022-10, an ordinance proposing an amendment to section 11.13E, purchasing contracting of the Home Rule Charter of the Petersburg Borough to allow borough employees and officials to participate in borough property sales when conducted by competitive outcry auction, and directing that the proposed charter amendment to be submitted to the qualified voters of the borough. Second reading. If adopted, 2022-10 will submit a proposed charter amendment to the qualified voters of the Petersburg Borough to amend the charter to allow borough employees and officials to participate in borough property sales when conducted by competitive outcry auction. This was unanimously approved in its first reading. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by member Mucci and seconded by member Tremblay. Any discussion on this one? I would just add one quick comment that as it stands right now, and we did talk about this, but it bears repeating, currently, any member could participate in sealed bid, but not outcry auction. Is this correct, Clerk Thompson?
That is correct.
So just for those listening at home, officials can do it now, just not by outcry. It's an odd loophole, so just trying to tidy it up. Anyway, clerk, please call the roll.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Bob? David?
Yes.
Thank you.
Second reading. No new business, or no, excuse me, no one more unfinished business. On to new business. Item A, Resolution 2022-10, a resolution to temporarily change assembly meeting dates from Monday to Thursday for July through September of 2022. Mayor Jensen is gillen in the summer, which takes place on Sunday through Wednesday each week, and requests the assembly meetings regularly scheduled for the first and third Monday be rescheduled temporarily to the first and third Thursday of each month for July through September 2022 to provide him a chance to participate either remotely or in person. I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So move.
Second. Motion's been made by member Tremblay and seconded by member Kensinger. Discussion. Member Tremblay.
Since I made the motion, I did it for purposes of discussion. I'll be voting against it. I'm empathetic to having a work schedule that conflicts with assembly meetings, but I think it's more important for the public to have consistency. I know I organize my life around meetings on Mondays, and so with my own work and life schedule. So I am empathetic to the reason, but I think it's more important to have that consistency for the public. So I'll be voting no.
Thank you, member Tremblay. Any further discussion? I would just briefly chime in and echo member Tremblay's statements and Mr. Murgis, who testified. Yeah, I think I can't be in favor of changing that around for one member of that. And I think member Murgis touched on an important point also of the public is the public trust has come to see us on these dates, and to change that without a compelling reason wouldn't make sense to me. So I'll also be voting no. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Thomas?
No.
Chelsea?
No.
Bob?
No.
Jeff?
No.
David?
Yes.
Jay?
No. And that fails on a 1 to 5 line with member Kensinger in affirmation. Brings us down to item B, Southeast Alaska Regional Dive Fisheries Association. board seat nomination. The SARDFA board is accepting nominations from the Southeast communities to fill a municipal board member for a one-year term. The borough advertised for letters of interest from community members interested in serving, and as of the date of publishing, one letter of interest was received from member Mucci. So I would entertain a motion to appoint member Mucci to this seat.
So move.
Second.
Motion been made by member Lynn and seconded by member Tremblay. Any discussion? Member Mucci, thank you for putting your name in. Appreciate it, guy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I put my name in, in the letter that I wrote to the borough. I'm involved in sea otter discussions with the working group, and I've seen all the areas in Southeast Alaska where otters hang out and harvest gooey ducks and all the rest of the invertebrates that are underwater. And I'm not sure if it's how they're going to fill that seat. I imagine there'll be other people from other communities that put their name in, but yeah, I'll give her a go, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Right on. Any further discussion? Clerk Thompson, whenever you're set, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Jay,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Chelsea, Jeff,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that passes unanimously. Item C, Papke's Landing Marine Facility Improvements Conceptual Plans. With assembly approval, Vice Mayor Stanton Greger will appoint Bob Lynn and Dave Kensinger to work with Alan Murph of Harai and Associates, Inc. to finalize the conceptual plans for the proposed Papke's Landing Marine Facility improvements. I'd entertain a motion to approve the appointment of member Lynn and Kensinger.
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made by member Mucci and seconded by member Tremblay. Discussion. Seeing none, thank you, members Lynn and Kensinger, for being willing to work with Alan Murph of Harai and Associates to work on that. It is an issue that we are facing in our borough on how to do this effectively and efficiently, and I look forward to hearing back from you guys on improvements. Any comments from Dave or Bob on the matter?
Go ahead, Dave. I just want to echo what John Murger said, that, you'll notice here it's conceptual, and there's nothing that's going to be set in stone. And if anybody has any issues, I know Bob has heard from quite a few people. I've heard from quite a few people. Please let us know.
Member Lynn.
And I would echo the same thing, is that we've got some folks that set some, I think, some reasonable designs to us of changes that they would like to see made. Some of them have a lot of experience with marine facilities and stuff. And I'm just hoping that we can capture the best parts of everybody's thoughts. And as Dave says, we want to keep it open but there is so many parts to this and so many good ideas. It's going to be a little hard to winnow it down and get in a plan that we can all accept. But then I'm with John, as it should remain open with, after we're all done, as good ideas come forward, we ought to accept them and change it.
Thank you, member Lynn. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
David,
Yes.
Bob, Jeff, Jay,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Chelsea. Thank you.
And we approved their appointment unanimously. Bringing us to item D, the appointment of Kelly Caples to the Child Care Task Force. So close enough?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved by member Kensinger and seconded by member Mucci. Discussion. Clerk Thompson, how many folks do we have on the task force now? Do you know offhand? It's okay if you don't.
I did. We had 13, so I believe this will make 14, and we approved up to 15.
You did, that's why I was asking. Excellent, we're getting closer. And before we vote, obviously I'll be voting for this. Thank you very much, Kelly Caples, especially as a leader in the childcare industry in our community right now, for putting your name forward. I'm sure your feedback will be valued a lot. Member Tremblay.
Thank you. Just as the chair of the task force, just a quick update that I've sorted us into 3 groups to be sorted based on different policy areas of focus. And so the members have been sorted. We are working on scheduling. I will be attending and note-taking the meetings and facilitating where needed and sharing information between the groups. bringing it all to us periodically, but not so much consistently throughout. So open invitation to questions if you are interested in the progress, but it's getting moving and I'm very excited. So thank you to everybody for their patience and understanding as we figure out how to corral a dragon. So
Most excellent. Seeing no further discussion on the appointment of Ms. Caples, would the clerk please call the roll?
Jeff, Bob,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Chelsea,
yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Kelly Caples, and her appointment passes unanimously. That is the end of new business, bringing us down to communications. All correspondence received since June 2nd is on the Borough website for all to peruse. There are no discussion items tonight that have been put on here, so it brings us to Assembly Member comments. Floor is open for any comments by Assembly members. Recognitions. Member Tremblay.
I'd like to thank Sandy, first of all. I'm not going to make it too long because that'd make you uncomfortable, but thank you. Also, I'd like to recognize the Pride Month reception happening at the museum this Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. We're here and we're queer and we're going to have a good time with some cupcakes. So everyone's welcome and it'd be fun to see you.
Excellent. Any other recognitions from Assembly members? Member Mucci, I see you down there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just also want to thank Sandy Dixon for all her hard work and dedication to the community. I was able to go through ETT, EMT1, EMT2 with Sandy, and it was pretty stressful from time to time, and the calls we were on were stressful all the time. And I never felt, and I was in a situation where I couldn't deal with it. And it was because of Sandy's stewardship and training of me that made me feel comfortable responding in the dark of night, in the crappy weather. Sandy will really be missed. We say that about a lot of people that leave employment here in Petersburg, but Sandy will be missed, and I will miss her honesty and our conversations that we've had in the past. So I will miss Sandy. Thank you.
Well said. For the recognitions this evening, Member Kensinger.
I'm going to chime in too. I really appreciate all the work that and the long hours that Sandy spent during the last 2 years with COVID. I think that was above and beyond the call of duty.
Indeed. Thank you, Member Kensinger. Any other recognitions from Assembly members or staff this evening? With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Nice work, everybody.
Ooh, happy summer solstice.
Yeah, really.